Good morning. It is now time to start chapter 11 in our Be My Disciples book. We are looking at how we celebrate the Holy Spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit is something we talked about last chapter. When Jesus was baptized, he was baptized in water and by the Holy Spirit, and with the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit was sent to him when he was baptized from his Father. So we're going to explore that a little deeper. So let's start with the question, what does it mean to have a goal or a mission? I believe all of you were asked to write yourself a mission statement at the beginning of this year by Mrs. Coffee. Something that you wanted to live for or accomplish that really captures what you're about, like what you want to do. A goal is something that you set for yourself. Like if you wanted to get an 89 on your next test, that's a goal you work for. It's something you set before yourself. Now, let's read. One day, Jesus went to the synagogues in Nazareth. The rabbi gave him a scroll in which was written of Isaiah the prophet. Jesus rolled the scroll open and announced to the people the mission. Jesus read aloud, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives and the recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord." That's found in Luke 4:18 through 19. Now, the question, how does the mission of Jesus continue today? I want you to take a minute and go and talk to someone in your household that is around. So just pause the video and I'll give you a minute to go and talk about that. All right, moving on. Part 1. We're on page 144. And our disciple power is understanding. Understanding is a gift of the Holy Spirit that helps us know the meaning of the teachings of the church. It also helps us to be sympathetic to others and sense when someone is hurting or in need of compassion. Now, understanding is something that can be very difficult. Sometimes it's hard for us to understand how other people feel when they are feeling sad or they are feeling like they're being picked on or they are going through a hard time. Sometimes if we haven't been there in that situation, it's hard for us to understand what they're going through. But we can still be there for them. Being sympathetic and is a good way of just saying, it's going to be okay. It's letting them know that you're there for them. Understanding the teachings of the church sometimes can be difficult even for an adult. So we need to pray for understanding so that God can open our hearts and our minds to what he's trying to teach us. So the good news for the poor. Dorothy Day worked hard at living her baptism. She was a holy woman who tried to show her love to God and her Catholic faith in everything she did. She worked hard at bringing glad tidings to the poor. When Dorothy Day was 8 years old, her father lost his job, and the family moved to a poor neighborhood in Chicago. Soon after, her father found another job, and the family moved again. Because of this experience, Dorothy never forgot about the needs of the people who were poor. Dorothy really understood what it meant to be poor. After Dorothy went to college, she began working as a newspaper reporter in New York City. She had no religious beliefs, but became interested in the Catholic faith through a religious sister. After some time, she joined the Catholic Church. So the question, what happened to Dorothy that changed her forever? Now I want you to go back up into this paragraph up here and reread it. The answer is in there. So again, I want you to pause the video and take a moment and go find someone in your household and go discuss this with them. And how did that change them? And I'll add another question. How do you think Dorothy's experience, if you were in her shoes, how do you think it would have changed your life? All right, I hope you had a good discussion. So let's move on. Page 145, House of Hospitality. Dorothy wanted to find a way to improve the lives of people who were poor. She met Peter Marin, who had the same idea. Together they opened a house of hospitality where people who were poor could stay and get food and clothing. Peter encouraged Dorothy to use her God-given gifts to start a newspaper and would describe what she was doing. Soon Dorothy realized that the articles in her paper were making people aware of the needs of the poor. Her newspaper, The Catholic Worker, cost only a penny, just as it does today. Dorothy and Peter started the Catholic Worker movement, which has opened many houses of hospitality across the United States. For 50 years, Dorothy shared Jesus' concern for the poor and truly lived out the mission given to her in her baptism. So, how does the story of Dorothy Day help you understand your role in spreading the mission of Jesus? Now, I want you to think about this. Everyone has a different mission. Everyone has a different purpose. We're not all the same. We talk about this all the time, about how we look at things, how our past experiences have shaped our views on things. So I want you to think about this. How does the story of Dorothy Day help you understand what your role in Jesus' mission is? What is Jesus' mission? Okay, it's to spread the gospel to every person. So how can you help? Okay, this activity for this part is to write a headline to describe each of the 2 things that Dorothy Day did to help the poor. Now, she did many things to help the poor. And if you look back in your reading, as you know, Miss Tessa always tells you, after you're done reading, you need to go back and look at what they were telling you. Because they're not always going to tell you the answer right where the question is. So, just like we've been practicing, you need to go back in your reading and look up, what has Dorothy Day done? Okay, what are the 2 things that she started? I'll give you a hint. There's 2 things that she started. In other words, discovered or opened up. So one of them's right here. So I want you to think about that. All right? So go ahead and complete that. If you need any help or have any questions, just send an email.